Hi, I'm Josanne Wright Callender, the author of the Happy Little Garbage Truck Picture Book and Educational Program. Well, last week I was chatting with you about how and why we started this channel, and it's during the time when we were all in virtual worlds of teaching and education back in 2020 and 2021. But I thought this channel has evolved to focus on how to build up good character traits in our children because the Happy Little Garbage Truck was created to help build self esteem and self confidence in young children. Well, but another part of this process came to me that we are, as parents and educators, modeling those character traits to the students and the children that we are working with and trying to help evolve into becoming really wonderful human beings. Well, personally, I was looking at this from the context of developing critical thinking skills, because all of these character traits, and especially courage, will help children to make better choices for themselves. And so, we as parents and educators, we have to model that. So, Z. Hereford's article, Live a Life of Courage, caught my eye. And so we're going to look a little bit more about into this because she had 5 points that she made sure that we know that this is a progressional um, type of journey. It's not like you all of a sudden wake up, oh, I'm going to do that thing that I've been afraid to do for so long. No, it takes time and it takes certain steps to move along in that direction. So, first, it was knowing that fear is going to be present and still accepting that you will move through that fear, and it's being willing to deal with it. The second one is to develop a willingness to work on the parts of your own personality that you need to reshape or form to deal with the thing that you need to have courage regarding. And noting how others work through their difficult times is also one of the key points. And a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about Sidney Poitier, and I'll come back to Mr. Poitier because he's a perfect role model on working through times that are difficult. And four is taking small steps day by day to achieve that level of courage. And then five is having faith. Now, about faith, we know that it's a spiritual term, but it's really about hoping for something that you don't quite yet have. And last week, we in particular mentioned that there is a Hebrew word, imuna, which means faithfulness. And it's a full reliance on God to the point that you have your actions reflect that reliance. And so it's like actually believing that your actions will manifest themselves into the thing that you're hoping for, like having a positive attitude. And so that's why I said it takes courage to have a positive mindset, because not I think that there is this one document that I was reading that for every negative you need like 10 or so positives to kind of cancel it, because our mind tends to hold on to the negatives. But to develop a positive mindset is something that we first have to choose to have. And then once we've made that choice, our lives begin to take action. We begin to take action so that our lives start to reflect that particular point of view that we have. And last week we saw this in Mr. Potier's life. And it it's not it's not hard to see that he was told that he was going to be a dishwasher all his life. And he decided at that point that he was not going to live up to that person's expectations of him, and that he was going to work day by day, step by step, to become an actor, and a great actor at that. So, but he had no evidence that he would become a great actor. There was nothing in his past that reflected that. But he continued to put in the time because that was his expectation and his hope. Well, on February the 1st, next Tuesday, I'm going to launch my young adult novel, and that in itself is another story on courage. But really, this story is a nod to not only my family, but to my parents, because my parents and my family grew up during that time that Mr. Potier lived. And the context of that time is given away in the title of my book. It's called Making Do: Growing Up Colored in the Jim Crow South During the Great Depression. So there's a lot of context in that title, but it was a time of having courage, faith, and hope. But while this is a historic novel, it also has elements of, well, it's basically a coming of age story with elements of romance and adventure. But in writing this, I was truly amazed at how much, well, grit that my parents and our ancestors had to have to move through and live in that time. Well, that grit is courage because it took courage to have them develop and keep a positive attitude to move toward those goals that they had hoped to obtain because they wanted their families, our families, now to have a better future than they had at that time. And that's just the beginning of a whole lot of things that began during this time of pre-civil rights. So if you like to join me in this launch, it's going to be February the 1st at 3 o'clock on Square Tree Publishing's Facebook page. And I've included it in the description box. Excuse my excitement because, well, there's, as I said, there's a lot of backstory to this eventuality. But I hope you join me. We're going to have some special discounts and some giveaways. So thank you so much. And thank you for subscribing. Please share. And I look forward to seeing you next Tuesday. Different day, but on a different station. So thank you very much. Bye-bye.